All right, for the culture segment, I'm really excited about this. I don't know how helpful it's going to be for people, but for me, I love the topic. Let's talk about video games. I love playing video games. But I understand there are concerns with it. And I think those are fair concerns. But that's not enough for me to not want to play them. In fact, this is one of those areas of life where I actually put my foot down with my wife and I said, I am not going to raise children who don't play video games. Okay pa sa akin kung di sila mag-basketball, di sila mag-football, fine. If they don't want to play team sports, as long as we're fit, that's fine. But if our kids want to play video games, then they will play video games. That's a non-negotiable for me. Now, if they turned out to be addicted to it, I did say, if they turn out to be addicted and all of those things, then yes, we will deal with that. All right? And if we have to cut them off completely, we will. But I don't want to aim for a video game-free household because I plan to play video games. And so, thankfully now, I think we're in a good place of balance. Our kids are really into video games, but they only play once a week. The rest of the time, they read, they watch other things, they work out, they play sports, they build pillow forts, so many things. So I love video games. Let's talk about it. My first video game system was the Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES, the classic Super Mario, Tetris, the Legend of Zelda, the first Legend of Zelda, the one with the super iconic meme, "It's dangerous to go alone, take this." That was so much fun. That really just blew our minds. My brothers and I loved to play with that. There was one time it got destroyed because I think my youngest brother plugged it into a parang maling saksakan. So these things happen, but we started with the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System. And then over time, we didn't buy them all. We weren't like super wealthy, but we would be able to play by borrowing from friends the Game Boy, the Sega, and the Super Nintendo, which had that fascinating Super Mario where he could fly with Yoshi. That was amazing, those videos. And I was always like praying, like, Lord, please give me a Super Nintendo. I want to play Donkey Kong. I want to play all of those things. Then my life changed in 1995 when my parents got us the PlayStation 1. Now you have to understand, the PlayStation 1 was a groundbreaking system, okay? First of all, it came from Sony. We're kind of used to the PlayStation now. There's a PlayStation 5. But back then, Sony made Walkmans. They made music players and video machines, the Betamax. They didn't make gaming systems. Gaming systems were exclusively the realm of Nintendo and Sega. So for Sony to jump in was like, what is this? Sony. In fact, I remember when we first had it, and it was Christmas, we opened it, we were like, oh, this is fun. We were playing it. I get to school after Christmas break, and our classmates would, ano kuha mo nung Pasko, diba? They're asking, what did you get for Christmas? And when we said a PlayStation, people laughed at us. Our classmates, and what is a PlayStation? Ang pangit ng pangalan na yun. Ano ba yan? Then they didn't mind us. And I really remember, but the ones I wasn't close to, they didn't, the ones we were close to, we would invite them over and they would play with them. Ganda nito. And then halfway through the school year, or later part of the school year, friends would say, Joe, di ba kayo may PlayStation? Yung pala yung maganda. And then that's because the news was spreading about the PlayStation. Game-changing games, three-dimensional games. Games like Ace Combat, Tekken 1, Tekken 2, Tekken 3, love those. Crash Bandicoot, the platformer, still one of my favorite games. I still play it. I download it on my Steam, on my gaming PC. I showed it to my kids. My kids love it. Twisted Metal, that car game where you shoot one another with your cars with that iconic ice cream truck, Sweet Tooth. Oh, that was so much fun. And one of the most influential, groundbreaking games of all time, Metal Gear Solid 1. This was one of the games that helped blur the lines between gameplay and storytelling and movie making, where you're playing a video game, but it feels like you're in a movie or you're watching an anime, with the over-the-top action, the overly melodramatic death scenes, all of that. Metal Gear 1, amazing. I'm still playing it until now. I'm glad they have the remastered edition. And then, on and on. I never got the PlayStation 2. My next big thing would be Counter-Strike. I really got hooked on Counter-Strike in college. in the LAN gaming cafes. I tell my kids stories about them. Oh, Philip, I'm so happy for you. You can go multiplayer online gaming now through the internet. But back then, we would have to go into these small, stinky rooms, and the place where I would play Blue Skies and Ateneo, sometimes there would even be ketchup on the keys, and then just because of the previous player, I got addicted to that. I almost failed a few subjects in college because of Counter-Strike. My classmates and I, my friends and I, our reasoning was, kakain ba tayo o mag-CS? Are we gonna eat or play Counter-Strike? And we would say, CS na lang mas mura. Let's just play Counter-Strike. It's cheaper. Because you could play 30 pesos for an hour, but 30 pesos for a meal. I mean, it wasn't a lot of things you could buy for 30 pesos for food at that time. So yeah, Counter-Strike. And then after college, I really got into the PSP. The PlayStation Portable, that was amazing. I loved the PlayStation Portable games. Peace Walker was one of my favorites. Patapon, Loco, all of and even the old games. You could play PlayStation 1 games on the PSP. That was an interesting device because it actually helped me develop a relationship with my wife. Because that's one of the things that made her notice me. She said, I like the way this pastor preaches, but he's so weird because when he's off the stage and he's in his off days, he plays PSP, there must be, that made her curious to get to know me better. And then, yeah, mobile gaming, yeah, some of that, I'll allow it. It is a kind of gaming. And now my new era, I'm loving the gaming PC. So this is not normally how this table looks. I have a gaming PC on this. I love playing it. I'm in this stage, I was telling some young people recently, I'm in the stage where I have the money to buy games. I don't always have to wait for sales. I do, but kung gusto ko na, I'll buy it now. I don't always have to wait for sales. I just don't have the time to play it. But man, loving games. And I don't know. I don't know which video game to play sometimes, because different video games have different purposes. I love fighting games. So Tekken 7. I haven't gotten into Tekken 8 yet. I'm about to. I'm waiting for the sale. I love RPGs. I just love the role-playing games, the idea of getting better, getting stronger. You start out pathetic where like the smallest, weakest monster or enemy can kill you. And then later on, you just don't care. You can take them all on. You've got the spells, the gear, the armor, the skills to just, enter fearlessly into an enemy hideout and clear it all out. You've got the best loot. So games I'm playing now that are like that, Divinity 2, Original Sin. For the King, I love playing For the King with my sons. One of them will sit here, the other one will sit here, and we'll decide together, like who's the ranged, who's the mage, who's the melee one. It's so interesting watching their personalities come out in this gaming setting. I still love platformers, so Crash Bandicoot, games like that. I'll download it every once in a while. I used to like these a lot more. I don't play them so much now, but I still do sometimes. Empire building games like Civilization 5. And then Rome Total War is one of my favorites. I just love the idea of like seeing your forces like conquer the whole map. Every once in a while, I'll play Age of Empires 2 again, just for the funny memes about it. How like stabbing a building produces fire and hitting the same building with a hammer puts the fire out. So memes like that. Every once in a while, I like first-person shooters. Far Cry 3 and 4 and Sniper Elite have been some of my favorites, including other kinds of first-person not shooters like Portal and Portal 2. Of course, the first-person shooter RPG combination, Fallout 3, New Vegas, Fallout 4, Skyrim. I love that combo as well. I like playing this straight-laced character who likes to do the right thing. But just like a lot of people online, and my son actually knows this already, when he watches me save the game, he watches me go into a settlement, a village, a town, an underground base, and then I save the game, and he goes, oh no, what chaotic move are you thinking now, Papa? Because he knows I'm just going to test all my weapons, and just kill, and then, okay, reload the save. And other games. One new game I'm liking now, I'm like 30% into it, is a game called Detroit Made Human. Really interesting. Let me know if you've played it. I'd love to talk about it with people. Not a lot of people I know have played it. It's stretching the capacities of my gaming PC. I used to play every game at like ultimate, ultra settings. But, yeah, Detroit Made Human is really stretching it. It's really immersive, really cool. Okay, as much as I would like to just geek out on video games endlessly, let's talk about the wisdom behind it. So as you can tell, I've used up a lot of time on that. And I'll get to the time use in a bit, but what are the things we want to watch out for while playing video games? Because I think it's one of those things like anything. Anything can be addictive. Work can be addictive. Reading can be addictive. That's true. But video games are more prone to that because they're designed to be addictive, right? I mean, books aren't designed. The most you can do is lay it out in a certain way or write it in a certain way, but it's still not as psychologically stimulating as a video game. And that's what we want to watch out for. And so for me personally, when I've found that there are games that make me addicted to it too much, I delete those games. That's kind of why I like my gaming PC, because it takes me a lot of effort. I have to go to this room. I have to sit down. I have to boot it up before I play this game. So it's a kind of thing for me. The way it's become in my life is I need to block off time. If I'm done with work, I've done my workout, I know I'm going to have time with the kids later, okay, I can play video games. That's what it looks like. For me, what was more dangerous, to be completely honest, was mobile gaming. Because it's always there. I don't leave my phone around. I have it with me always. And so the temptation to just fire up and play a video game and really get sucked into it, that's what I found. And so I have very few games on my mobile phone. And it's only the non-addictive ones. I remember one time getting really hooked on the first Injustice. The first Injustice on the phone. And because there were these community events, these online events where you could win exclusive loot. And it would make a big effect on your character if you had this exclusive loot. And so it didn't matter if the exclusive event, especially the climax, would fall on a counseling session. Or I'm in the middle of a movie. Or in the middle of a worship service. Years ago, I'd find myself swiping, and trying to defeat everybody. And as my super team of Wonder Woman and Arkham Batman and Doomsday, those people, it got me hooked. And so after a while of weeks of this, I just said, I can't have this game on my phone. The Apostle Paul says in 1 Corinthians, everything is permissible, yes, but I will not be mastered by anything. What are you letting master you? You must be the master of these games. You're the controller. They can't take away the other parts of your life. That's one, just the addiction level. Secondly, and this is pretty obvious, the content, right? Watch out for the content. And there's really just two main content issues with video games. Worldviews, kind of, but not a lot of people I know really absorb worldviews through video games. The two main ones are violence and sexuality, right? Unhealthy view of violence and unhealthy view of sexuality. Now, classic question. People have been asking this since the 80s. Do video games cause violence? And the answer has already been given by studies. The answer is no. While people will say that, but those violent, let's say, school shooters or all kinds, were playing video games, that may be true, but lots of other people play video games who weren't doing that. And what if there are other factors? And in fact, there are other factors. Factors like growing up in a home without a father figure. Factors like not having a sense of purpose or any real friendships. Those are what people should be working to deal with, like a church community or an extended family coming around to support people who don't have fathers like that. Instead of demonizing video games, let's focus on real solutions. The other one is just really messed up, perverted views on sexuality. Sexuality is a beautiful thing. God made it for marriage. God made it to be enjoyed. God made it to be celebrated. And it's celebrated in such a special way that it's with a person that ideally you're with for life. But many video games pervert this, and it objectifies women. It objectifies men as well, in the sense that someone who objectifies another is also objectifying themselves. You're making that person just an object of lust, but you're also turning yourself into someone who only lusts, who just lusts. You are a lust machine. That's not who you are. And so watch out for this content. There are some games that I just didn't play because I didn't like the sexuality of it. Looking back now at 41, I'm like, really? Was I tempted by that? But, I look at, for example, the first Tomb Raider, and I'm like, those overly pixelated, blocky, was I tempted by that? But at that age, I'll be honest, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old me, There was no telling. It could be anything at that point. So better to stay away. There's nothing wrong with giving up a game rather than causing yourself to sin. Jesus said, right, it's better to chop off a hand or lose an eye rather than do the thing that causes you to sin. That's an obvious exaggeration. He does not advocate for self-mutilation in any way, but he's showing how far we should go in our efforts to say, Lord, I don't want to sin. But really, the main concern I have about video games, and this is something that I've said to my sons when they play, is the escapism that comes from video game play. Then that's where I think a lot of the addiction comes from. When the virtual world, the video game world, becomes a place I want to run to as a place to medicate, therapeutize, help myself deal with the real world. That's a problem. And it's not the video game that's automatically the problem. It's a symptom. And we need to ask ourselves, why are we escaping our lives? Why are we running away from our own lives? That's the question, really. I don't want my sons escaping to video games from my home. I want my home to be a safe place. I want their adventures, their greatest adventures, to be real, not virtual. I want their deepest connections to be people with names and faces that they've seen in real life, not just virtual characters. I want them having real achievements in-game and IRL. I don't want them living there and not living here. And that's why for me and my wife, we have an agreement, right? That we want to make time and spaces and trips that cost us money, that cost us time and maybe require sacrifices and other things. But because we want to create experiences with them that are more meaningful than what they can experience virtually. If you have someone who you think is running into video games in this way, escaping into it, then it's a good question to ask. Why? Why are they doing it? Or maybe it's you who's doing that. Is that a place where they feel more accepted, more affirmed? Do they feel more competent there? Many people, they feel more in control. I know that feeling. Because at least in the video game world, the rules are set. The operating system is set. So I can control this. And I have a tangible way of growing, and it doesn't feel as meaningless because there's a sense of progress. Instead of just saying, puro ka na lang video games, lean in. Ask them what they like about it. Ask them what they're getting from it. And then ask yourself, why are they getting it more there? Can they get it from somewhere else as well? I've had honest conversations with our kids about that. Look, you're getting controlled now. You're losing your temper. This is not good for you. And you know what? It honestly helps them that I like video games because it's not like, I don't ever want you to play. No, I like it. But notice we're going to do it at the right time. And you know what's more important than playing video games? The time we spend together. And so I'm grateful that they're there. So, yeah, I love playing video games. If you want to chat more with me about this, then yeah, join the Telegram group. I would honestly love it if there were so many people talking about video games in the chat. We have to make a subgroup for that. If that's not God's will for me, then that's fine. I'll accept it, Lord. But that would be amazing if that's what we got to. So I love playing video games, but that being said, there are dangers, all right? Addiction. It is designed for addiction. All right, be careful. Know yourself. Know when it's going too far. If you have to cut off completely, that's fine. It's not the worst thing in the world. Secondly, the content. There's a lot of crap out there. It's a lot of junk. How much is it affecting you? How much is it defining you? How much is it influencing the way you look at the world? And lastly, really the escapism. It's fun to go into it every once in a while, but hopefully real life is much more meaningful for you. For me, honestly, video games have helped me with real life perspectives a lot of the time. And I can talk about that another time. But the main one for me, remember that thing I said about the sense of control, right? Where, okay, I can control this game. I know what's going to happen in this level because, someone designed this. This boss is beatable. Even if it's something like Dark Souls, or Elden Ring, where it seems so impossible. No, this is beatable. Someone designed this to be beatable. That perspective has helped me with life, where I realized God is the designer. God is the programmer. He doesn't give me more than I can handle. He knows this is beatable right now. There is a way out here. Because there is someone in control. It's not purely randomized. So let me know what games you like to play. If you're someone who has people in your life who like to play video games and you don't get them, we can help you with that. And yeah, see you at the Telegram group if you want to talk about this. If this content helps you, then yeah, let us know. You can leave a like, a comment, subscribe, or share it with people who you think would benefit from it as well. If you want to continue this conversation, then I would love that. I'm enjoying the Telegram group we have and the ongoing discussions we have there. Here's the link on the screen, and it's also in the description. And finally, if you want to support this channel, there's a giving link at the bottom for Buy Me a Coffee. We would really appreciate it.